It's wild because, I mean, hearing you recount a cursory, synopsis of Henry Kissinger's time and service, so to speak. It's like all I hear is all these fucking crackers on TV talk about how much of a war criminal Vladimir Putin is. Putin's a war criminal. It's like, girl, you should look in your side of your own house, America. You will find nothing but war criminals, abundance. Who precede Vladimir Putin,
Yeah.
who probably gave Putin some lessons, if we even go in there. But adios mio.
And Putin is not even compare. I mean, I wouldn't even label him a war criminal. Obviously, I think he's involved in aggressive wars.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the United States, there's no country in the history of nations that are responsible for more dead bodies almost at this point than the United States, particularly post World War II. So the United States stands alone with war criminals. I think everybody, as anybody who studied this history suggests, there's not a U.S. president that could not probably work at least probably all of them actually who could not be prosecuted for war crimes under the Geneva Convention if there was such a convention that had any real power to be enforced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only the big things that we know about, but the invasions, the overthrows. The list is long in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America. And normally, during a particular time period, again, to bring it back to the British, with the British, who they took over as the major imperial power, but with the British joining forces with them. So a lot of these overthrows and destabilizations of governments that were direct, um, uh, involved the killing of like thousands of people took place under U.S. leadership, with the British at that point being their partner in terms of what was happening. So the war crimes and the war criminals can squarely be counted here more than they can in any place else around the world. But again, like we talk about, U.S. propaganda or Western propaganda would never call their own a war criminal in any serious fashion, or do the propaganda game of continually talking about these issues that would lead to any prosecution of a U.S. president. The closest, of course, is the battle they're having now with Trump, which is around maybe the elites competing with each other, and some of the liberal elites being scared that Trump is going to bring down the whole facade because he's a little more crazier than what they're used to. They want their old school Republicans who at least know how to keep the facade going. But that's it. Like, and that's about the entanglements of power right now.
And again, like, Trump is awful, terrible, awful person, bad, bad, bad. But it's funny that, Trump, out of the most recent US presidents, Trump is more likely potentially to go down for something, whereas Obama did regime change in Libya, just fucked up Libya beyond recognition, a shadow of what it ever was. The Bushes before him, with Iraq twice, Afghanistan, Syria. I mean, just the list goes on. And Trump, incompetent, whatever he may be, he didn't do any of that shit. You know what I'm saying?
He
He didn't
continued some of the
maybe
stuff.
take his chance.
He killed the Iranian general. He
Yeah,
killed
but he didn't start no whole ass war. Like, he
no,
was.
no.
Now, he was talking regime change, and I believe that he probably would have tried to follow through. But in terms of what he did, foreign policy wise, during his term, like, he didn't
Yeah.
do anything compared to what
No,
Obama
because
and
he
the
was
Bushes did.
essentially, his instinct was isolation, right, more than
Hmm.
anything else. But even more importantly, like, so none of those presidents would even they would no one's even talking about um, any of those presidents being prosecuted for anything they did within foreign affairs, right? And even Trump is the attempt is the claim of election fraud and or taking the classified documents, right? So that's the claim. It's got nothing to do with the foreign policy
Hmm.
of Trump, just like it would have nothing to do with the foreign policy of the preceding presidents, because normally they are far more united on invasion and controlling of resources than anything else. And as we've seen with Biden stepping in post Trump, Biden has essentially carried on a lot of the Trump policies, particularly in the foreign policy arena. So they have done what they can to keep a certain continuity when it comes to resource control, because that's what they care about, even with their differences. So again, the issue with Trump for a lot of the Democrats and Republicans is that he just does it in a way which they think is more dangerous to the stabilization of Western imperialism, and that's what scares them. Not so much what he does in terms of keeping Western imperialism going, uh, but his conversations around breaking up NATO, not breaking up, but telling NATO to pay more and telling other countries to pay more and all that kind of stuff. I think that's really what they don't like about him.
Yeah.